Hi everyone, I am Tanya and the session is devoted to a quick, short, dynamic power flow. So if you don't have the time to spend an hour or an hour and a half on a fully fledged yoga practice, but you want to get that blood rushing circulation going, this is it. So find your mat and let's get started. We're going to start this session by lying on our back. So feel all four corners of the back in full contact with the mat. Draw the knees into the chest and then gently release the left leg all the way down to the floor. Squeeze that right thigh, really trying to put that thigh onto the lower ribs on the right side. Squeezing as tight as your hips allow, making sure that the left back of the knee is close to your mat. We hold for another breath. And then cup the knee in your hand and move that knee out to the side. Allow the knee to hang, allowing for that amazing stretch across the pelvic basin. Now typically what happens, the opposite hip bone lifting into the sky. So if that happened, take your left hand, position on the hip bone, work that glute for full contact with the mat, and only then allow that right knee to hang and be heavy. And we hold for 3, and 2, and 1, and gently straighten out the leg. Tap out the calves on the floor, and we get ready to draw the left knee into the chest, squeezing the left side. Now actively soften the sacrum, soften the lower back. We want that part of the back body to sink into the floor. We're pulling in exactly the opposite side on the sacrum. So softening that area allows the body to go deeper into the pose. And again, let's take our left knee in the left hand. Allow the knee to fold out, flop out to the side. Check in with the right hip bone, see what it's doing. If it lifted away from the mat, work it down with your right hand. Feel that full contact with the right glute on the mat, and then allow the left knee to hang and be heavy. And we hold for 3, and 2, and 1, and gently straighten out the left leg, tapping the calves on the floor. We draw both knees into the chest. Feeling so important always to have good alignment, especially during a warm-up, but particularly so for power yoga. And let's get ready. We roll ourselves up to seated, roll the body over the knees, reposition on the mat, and we get ready for a quick cow and cat. We're going to do 4 rounds of a cow-cat warm-up for the back. And we're going to be using the breath. So empty the lungs in flat back. And in cow, we're going to inhale. Filling the lungs, feeling that arch in the lower back. Raise the eyes to the ceiling. And exhale on angry cat. Tucking the tailbone, drop the head. Inhale on cow. Filling the lungs, feel that arch in the lower back. Look up at the ceiling. Exhale an angry cat. Now really feel how the shoulder blades are pulling away from one another. Inhale on cow again. Pulling the shoulder blades toward one another. Exhale on angry cat. Pulling the shoulder blades away from one another. And last one. Inhale on cow. Make it a good one. And exhale on cat. Tuck the tailbone deeper, put the chin on the chest. And we meet in flat back. Take a recovery breath. From here, we're going to tuck the toes under. Move the weight over the heels. This is important to really get your downward dog technique right. Drop the forehead closer to the mat. And only now we start straightening out the legs into downward dog. And let's walk out the dog. Also adjust your stance here. If you need to move your hands and feet further apart, you do so here. Feel how the sit bones are sticking into the sky. Chest, forehead close to the mat. And let's bring the body to a still. Dropping the head a little closer to the mat, stick out the sit bones. Let's come onto our tippy toes, really arching, flexing into those toes. Good for runners, cyclists. This prevents plantar fasciitis. And when you're ready, lower the heels. We drop the knees to the mat. We untuck the toes and we're going to sit back and wide-legged child. So open the knees wide, big toes in contact. Actively press on the hands, get the sit bones onto the heels, and then slide the hands forward. And feel how the chest approaches the mat and opens the shoulders, pushes the shoulder blades toward one another on the back. Also aware of an intense hip opener here. Taking 2 more resting breaths here. And get ready, press the body up onto all fours. Adjust the position to your perfect box again. Tuck the toes under and into downward dog we go once more. So really get the forehead close to the mat before you start straightening out your legs. And again, adjust the position if you need to walk the hands a little bit forward. And we walk out the dog. Try and get the heels wider than the toes. The slight pigeon stance allows for additional opening of the sacrum, which is what we want. Bring the body to a still. Again, go onto tippy toes, flexing into those toes. Drop the chest closer to the mat. Strong arms, strong shoulders. Drop the heels to the mat and now start walking the feet forward all the way to between the hands. And if you need to bend your knees here, do so. If you can, keep them semi-straight with a micro bend. That is preferred. We grip our elbows, soften the neck, allow the head to hang. We hold for a breath, making sure that the head is completely relaxed. Feel the pressure in the upper back muscles being pulled down to the earth in the opposite direction to what they're used to. And then slowly start uncurling the spine. Now don't do this with straight legs. Bend the legs additionally here and then start lifting the spine. Allow the head to come last. And we meet in standing. Come to stand at the short end of the mat. Big toes touching, heels slightly apart, and we find our good mountain pose. So what do we mean with that? We mean tuck the tailbone under. We mean drop floating ribs, so there's a slight contraction in the abs. Then we open the shoulders, opening the heart space, and we look straight ahead. We breathe in, arms to ceiling, filling the lungs. Swan dive, arms down, emptying the lungs. You can bend your knees here if you wish. Inhale, halfway lift, hands on shins, flat back, look forward. Exhale, forward bend. Hands to mat, step back with the right foot into runner's lunge. Drop that right hip down to the floor. See that you're not over bending in that left knee. If this is happening, move the body back or move the back foot further away from the front foot. Pull up the knee disc of the right leg, straightening that leg. See if you can sink the pelvis a little closer to the floor. Step the left foot back. Find your plank position. So we want a straight line with the body. We don't want the sit bones to stick into the sky. We don't want the sit bones to hang. We want to use the core and create a straight line. Get ready for chaturanga. So keeping those elbows tucked in close to the ribs, start lowering the body all the way down to the floor. Slow as you can go. Hover above the mat and then push the body up into upward dog. Tuck the toes under. Back into downward dog we go. Adjust the stance so the dog feels good. Lift the right leg high into the sky, opening the hips to the side. Look through underneath the right armpit. Now look through underneath the left armpit. Feel what it does to the upper back. Bend that leg, lifting the knee as high as you can to the ceiling. whilst looking through the left armpit, and we hold for another breath. Straighten out the leg and immediately step that foot through to between the hands. Step the left foot through. Breathe in, arms to ceiling. Exhale, hands to heart. Continue the movement. Breathe in, arms to ceiling. Swan dive, arms down. Exhale into forward bend. Inhale, halfway lift, hands on shin, shoulders away from ears. Exhale, forward bend, hands to mat. Step back with the left foot into runner's lunge. Now again, move that left hip down to the mat. Pull up the left knee disc, straightening that leg. Sink the pelvis a little deeper, closer to the mat. Step the right foot back. Find your plank. Now again, get ready to keep these elbows tucked into the ribs, and then we start lowering the body all the way down into chaturanga, hovering above the mat for a breath or two, and then press the body up into upward dog. Tuck the toes under with push back into downward dog. Adjust the dog so it feels good. Spread those fingers wide for stability. Lift the left leg, point the toe. Try and put the right heel onto the mat. Now first peep through underneath the left armpit. Then peep through underneath the right armpit. Bend the leg. Push that knee as high as you can. Up to the ceiling. Feel a slight twist in the upper back. Straighten out the leg and immediately step the left foot through to between the hands. And immediately we step that foot through to between the hands. Step the right foot through. Breathe in, arms to ceiling. Exhale, hands to heart. Take a few recovery breaths here. Find your breath. And we're going to do a second sun salutation based vinyasa, which means we start at the short end of the mat, big toes in contact, heels slightly apart. Find your mountain pose. And again, breathe in, arms to ceiling, filling the lungs. This time let's do a slight back bend. Swan dive, arms down, forward bend, emptying the lungs. Breathe in, halfway lift. Stick our fingertips onto the floor this time. Look forward, flat back. Exhale, forward bend, hands to mat. Step back with the right foot. Big runner's lunge here. Step back with the left foot. Firmly press the hands into the floor and find your downward dog. Adjust the dog so it feels good. And get ready, we're lifting the right leg. Try and keep the hips square here. So we don't want the hip bones to become stacked. We want them perfectly symmetrical to the floor. Then we draw our knee to the nose and we hover using our core here. Push back into three-legged dog again, leg not too high into the sky. Right knee comes forward to right elbow. Hover. Push back into three-legged dog. Right knee crosses midline, hugs the left elbow and hover. Push back into three-legged dog. Now if you want to add a modification, we bring our right knee to hug right elbow, move it over to hug left elbow, then push back into three-legged dog, and we step the foot through to between the hands. We step the left foot through. We breathe in, arms to ceiling. Exhale, hands to heart. Let's take one breath here. And continue on the other side. So breathe in, arms to ceiling, slight back bend. Swan dive, arms down to floor. Exhale into forward bend. Inhale, halfway lift. Tips of the fingers on the floor, look forward. Exhale, forward bend. Press hands into mat. Step back with the left foot. Step back with the right foot. And find your downward dog. Adjust the dog so it feels good. Spread those fingers for stability. Lifting left leg into sky, keeping hips square to mat. We bring our left knee to nose and we hover. Push back into three-legged dog. Left knee to left elbow and hover. Push back into three-legged dog. Left knee crosses midline, touches right elbow, hover. Push back into three-legged dog. If this was enough, then stay here. If you want to add the modification, bring that left knee forward. Move it over to touch the right elbow. Push back into three-legged dog. And we step that foot through to between the hands. Step the right foot through. Breathe in, arms to ceiling. Exhale, hands to heart. So from here, we're going to come to open the feet slightly. Keep the heels close together. Bending legs, we're sitting down in Malasana. So try and keep the heels on the floor. And if you can, move the feet a little bit closer. See where your body is. If this is not achievable, move the feet further away. And we're going to press the hands together in Anjali Mudra or prayer position. Using our elbows to move those knees further apart. Hold for a breath. And then allow the body to roll back onto the mat. We come to lie on our backs, knees pulled up into the chest. And again, let's squeeze the shins, gently rock from side to side now. Just massaging out those back muscles. They've been working really hard. And then bring the body to a still. We're going to cross the one shin over the other. We're going to grip the feet with the hands and allow the hands to lead the way, all the way over the head. So to bring the body onto the upper back and feel how the weight of the body now softens the upper back, that area between the shoulder blades. And then allow the hands to pull the feet even further, coming onto the shoulders. Feel how the weight of the body now softens out the base of the neck and the shoulders. When you've had enough, you want to release out of this pose. All we do is we bend the legs a lot and roll ourselves up to seated. Take a breath here. Find your balance. And we're going to go back onto our backs and cross the shins, cross the other shin to be on top. Grip the feet with the hands again. Feel all four corners of the back in perfect contact with the mat. And then allow the hands to lead the feet overhead once again. Do this slowly and feel how the body goes through the various positions. Onto the upper back. And then if you wish, take it further. Release your hands if you wish. This is a hamstring stretch. So if it's too tight on the hammies, bend the knees a little. If you want more of a hamstring stretch, straighten the legs. And when you want to release out the pose, we bend the legs a lot and we roll ourselves up to seated. And we take a moment to find our balance and find our breath. And then get ready for a short Shavasana, a well-deserved Shavasana. So move the heels away from one another. Flop the feet out to the sides. Allow the palms of the hands to face up to the ceiling. Actively move the shoulders away from the ears and close the eyes. Feel the heaviness of the head, the heaviness of the torso, resting on the mat through the shoulder blades. Feel the heaviness of the pelvis, making contact with the mat through the glutes. Feel the rounds of the calves, gentle contact with the mat. Become aware of the heartbeat, feeling how the heartbeat is starting to slow down. Become aware of the breath. We couldn't do this sequence without lots of breath. We now take this calm moment and fill the lungs to the brim, gently releasing on the exhale. You might be aware of the rushing blood, potent circulation that we've created through the body, allowing us to be awake, alert, and able in our day. So you hold Shavasana for as long as you feel fit. And when you're ready, Draw the knees into the chest. Cross the one shin over the other. And roll the body up to seated. Thank you so much for joining me. Go on and have an amazing day. Namaste.